and start. There you go.
Our mission. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. Helping Parents Heal goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. Helping Parents Heal affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at all Helping Parents Heal meetings is voluntary. All discussions that take place at affiliate-led meetings are confidential. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Zoom meetings run by leadership are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of Helping Parents Heal meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with our children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you've joined us this evening, and thank you, Brian and Stacey, for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And I am going to have Brian introduce Stacey Lynn, but I am first just going to say something about Brian. He is a board member of Helping Parents Heal. He also started out as an affiliate leader and was doing the online group for Helping Parents Heal before Irene and I took over, and he got very busy with Grief to Growth. So he wrote a wonderful book called Grief to Growth. He has a podcast by the same name, and he has already interviewed Stacey Lynn on that podcast. And so that interview is actually available on the invitation to this meeting. But I'm going to, without further ado, pass this over to Brian. And thank you so much for doing this, Brian. And Stacey as well.
Yeah, Elizabeth, Irene, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me introduce Stacey. I want to say that Stacey is amazing. I met Stacey actually a couple of years ago. She was doing a certification program, and she did a blind reading for me, which was pretty incredible at the time. She got some incredible evidence, but it wasn't until like a year and a half later when I realized that some of the things she had said came true. So her gift actually transcends time. She told me something wouldn't happen until like a year and a half later. She's more than a medium. She's also a mentor. She's an advisor. She can help you with all things spiritual. Her ability, I believe, is God-given. Stacey she has a faith and she believes in God. And we've talked about that on the interview I did with her. She thinks we all have some level of spiritual gifts, and she helps us actually to develop these gifts as well. Stacey has had incredible connections with people in the afterlife, of course, including a lot of celebrities. And she's had an experience today where she experienced something with a celebrity that maybe she'll tell us about as we go through this talk together today. So with that, I want to welcome to Helping Parents Heal, Stacey Lynn Cripps.
Thank you, Brian. It's such an honor to be here again and to just share the spiritual journey and spiritual awakening journey. I know, having been on these Zoom meetings with all of you, I shared a little bit here and there, but this is a full interview, so I'm really excited to be completely open and share these spiritual experiences so that it can help you as well, like understand how spirit can connect with you, because spirit's amazing. And the more that you kind of feel into and believe what spirit can do for you to help you and to guide you in your life, and to also touch your heart and to heal your heart with I'll just say their presence. I mean, the signs are incredible and they are amazing. But when you can really tune into I'll say their presence and just feel that love, because they want to feel your love too. I mean, you are their heaven as well. So
Yeah. So I want to start by asking you, like, a lot of us might kind of struggle with, how do I start to feel this? So how did this start to work for you? When did you first feel spirit coming in your life, and how did that work for you?
So it was in my 20s, the very first time that it happened to me. My best friend was killed in a car accident in her 20s on her way home from college. And we had grown up together since 4 and 8 years old, and her name's Heather. And we'd spend every summer together almost with my grandparents. She lived right next door to my grandparents. And I spoke to her just probably a week or two before she passed. And when I got the call, I went into a trauma state. So I was completely in denial and didn't believe it. I went numb. I mean, I was very shaky. And so I really didn't accept it. And I started having these dreams at night where I would go to her house, knock on her door, and she wasn't there. And I'd wake up crying. And after it happened so many nights, I just sat up in bed and I said to God, I can't do this anymore. I can't function like this anymore. I need help. And so I fell back asleep, and she came to me in my dream state under this oak tree. And we sat and we talked all night long, it felt like. And I could see her, feel her, and hear her, and feel her essence with me. And so I would wake up feeling her love. And it was just amazing. It happened multiple nights. And then one day I was walking into a grocery store, my ear was ringing, and I heard her voice objectively, like right here. And she said, call my mom tonight, share with her everything I've been telling you about the car accident. And so I was with my husband at the time, and he's like, call her mom. She's been coming to you a lot. And so I called her mom that night, and I shared that Heather shared with me that she shows up with angels when she comes to me in my dream state. She also told me about her car accident, how a woman pulled her car over, got out of the car, was holding her right before she passed. And when I shared that with her mom, she said Heather collected angels before she passed for 1 year. She had a collection of angels. She also said that when she got to the scene of the accident, the EMTs, she said I didn't believe them. And I said, who? She said the EMTs on the scene told me a woman was there, pulled over her car, got in the car with Heather, and was holding her before she passed. And I didn't believe them. Haven't been able to go on with my life knowing she was alone when we're never alone. However, those validation messages really touched her heart and gave her the peace that she needed, that Heather was communicating and that she was okay. And also she wasn't alone. She had a woman holding her. And so that was my first experience in my 20s. And then after every loved one passed in my life, my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncle, another friend of mine, they all came to me in my dream state. Every single day they passed, every single day, and they would give me messages, and I would share these messages. And so it was very normal for me to experience this. I just didn't know it was a gift until a spiritual awakening that I had in 2011, where I went to a conference, a Hay House conference, to see some spiritual authors that I've been reading about in my executive coaching program. So I'm an executive coach, I'm a spiritual coach as well. And I learned about Wayne Dyer back in 2008, and he reminded me of this the other day in meditation, that in 2008, when I was recruiting and executive coaching, a book fell on me in Barnes & Noble. It hit me in my chest, it fell on my feet. I picked up the book, and it was The Power of Intention. Never heard of him before. I started reading this book in Barnes & Noble. I was with my son at the time, and he was like, let's go, Mom. And I bought that book, and that book inspired me to plan a conference in Chicago for people out of work in 2009. And it was an international conference. It was amazing. But that book, The Power of Intention, I worked with that, and that helped me plan this conference. Well, in 2011, I went to see Wayne speak in New York City. And he was the first speaker that came on the platform. And he said, I'm going to take you through a meditation. I'm going to guide you through it to amazing grace. First time I've ever been in a guided meditation. There's 500 people in the auditorium. We all went into meditation, and I just closed my eyes, went into my heart space, and I could see, feel, and hear spirit in my wakeful state. Heather came to me, my grandmother, my grandfather, a friend of mine. I mean, my uncle came to me. I could see, feel, and hear them within meditative state. When I opened my eyes, I saw my grandmother, my grandfather, and my uncle up on the stage with Wayne. And they were in hologram form. And my grandmother spoke and said, we're loving and guiding you still. And I was just sobbing, of course. I was crying. I felt like I was out of body. It was such a spiritual experience. And the next speaker came on the platform and they guided us through an angel meditation and to connect with your guardian angel. And in that meditation, this Filipino man came to me and he said, I'm a doctor. My name's Renee, and I was with you in your car accident. And I had a car accident with my husband on Lakeshore Drive in 1997, where all these cars were in the accident. It was just a pile up, and we were hit from behind. And my seat went back. I was paralyzed from the neck down. I couldn't move. And my husband got out of the car, and this man got in the car, and he said, I'm a doctor. Move your toes, start breathing. You're not paralyzed. You pinch nerves in your vertebrae. So I was put in an ambulance for 8 hours. I was paralyzed, and then it all came back and I wasn't paralyzed. I had just pinched nerves down my vertebrae. Well, in that meditation, that angel meditation, this man came to me and said, I was an angel for you that day, and my name's Renee. And I had chills head to toe because I could see him. And I thought in 1997 he was real. I mean, not real, but I thought he was human. And my husband never saw him, but there were so many cars that were there to help people. And so when we came out of the meditation, the speaker said, now turn to your left and ask the person their name. I turned to my left. I go, what's your name? She said, Renee. So that was another spiritual experience that I had at this conference, and I kept having them. And then some of the speakers would walk up to me and say, I see your light. You have a lot of white light on top of you, right above your head. And I didn't know what was happening. I was just in this state of unconditional love and bliss and wholeness, and I could feel it. I felt like I was lifted off the ground too. When I drove home, there's a rainbow over my house, and I was full of this, I was in a place of this wholeness, oneness, and love. And I started hearing angels with me, and I was speaking in a way that didn't sound like me. I was saying thou and shall and there too. My husband was like, why are you talking like that? And I said, I don't know, but I'm just so happy. And so I was like, in a way, they were speaking through me in a way. And, but I heard angel hymns. I had angels with me. The first angel that connected with me in meditation was Gloriana, and she had beautiful red hair. And the next week I had a friend in town. We went to the Cubs game. We're walking to the Cubs game, and there's this beautiful angel on somebody's porch, as big as can be, with red hair, with Gloriana across the angel. I mean, these spiritual experiences were happening so much to me, I could not deny it. And so that's how it all began. And then I started meditating every single day to connect with my loved ones in spirit and to heal, like years and years of grief. I mean, my heart was healing. I was feeling, I kept seeing my 3-year-old self in my spiritual awakening too. So she would come to me in my meditation, I would hug her, and I had this like beautiful healing that had happened to me through my child self as well. So it was multiple layers and multiple levels. But I know what I learned is that spirit can heal your heart. And we all have the gift of spirit. It's really biblical. We're all spirit first in the body. And meditation is the place, contemplation, prayer, that's the place to go within and drop from your brain into your heart, which is your spiritual center, and feel their love and connect with them. We can all do this. And that's what I know I'm here. I mean, Wayne was the catalyst for me to open to spirit, and I want to be the catalyst for everyone to awaken to spirit. That's just what I know, what my mission is here. Speaking of Wayne Dyer, today, I was on my way to an appointment, or yesterday I was on my way to an appointment, and I was texting, Wayne and I have a mutual friend, and I was texting this person about Wayne coming to me in meditation with these writing tips. And I pulled into Target, and this Wayne doppelganger walked right in front of my car with the beret, the way he looked, the way he was walking. I was just in a state of awe. And so I texted, I sent the picture to Elizabeth and Irene. And actually today, after I texted that photo of his doppelganger, his spirit connecting, a Maui license plate showed up in front of me, an Illinois Maui license plate too, because he lived in Maui. So I know he's here with us tonight, and I just, I'm very grateful. I read so many of his books during my executive coaching school or academy that I was in. and I just feel a deep connection. He's one of my mentors. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of how
awesome.
it all started.
Yeah. So
And then I'll say too, just one more thing.
Mhm.
The following year, I went to another conference, and I met James von Prague, and he said to me, "You're a medium," and I didn't know what a medium was. I had no idea, but people were recognizing this in me just by looking at me or just by talking to me, and they saw something that I didn't understand or I did not know, and so I'd never heard a medium before. And so it just all kind of happened. The teachers showed up and started to really help and actually teach me more about this gift.
So you mentioned about people dying alone, and I know a lot of us are concerned because we've lost children, and we wonder about what was it like for our kids when they crossed over. So, what's your experience been about? Like, what have you learned from people that you've contacted mediumship about? People feeling scared or feeling alone or whatever during those final moments.
So everybody passes in a state of, I'll say, peace. There's no pain in tragic passings, none. They're surrounded by loved ones in spirit. Some of the kids come to me and say that they met actually Jesus on the Green Hill. One of the first child that I read for was back in 2012-13. She changed my life. Her name is Sophie, and her and my son were the same age at the time, 8 years old, and she's from St. Jude. And there was no scheduled reading. She was coming to me in spirit that day. I saw her with my eyes open, and she told me her parents were going to call me that night. I had no idea, and they did call me at 8 o'clock that night. She came through for an hour and 8 minutes, brought so much evidence. She shared everyone who was there for her in spirit when she transitioned on the other side. She named her grandfather. She named this little girl named Maya, who was with her at St. Jude, who passed of the same illness 3 days before her. So nobody is ever alone when they transition. There's so much love and peace on the other side. It's love, peace, and joy. And all the loved ones, angels, I mean, Jesus, everyone's greeted in their transition into spirit, into the afterlife. And when the kids come through, they make sure whatever passing that they had in their transition, they make sure that their parents know that they're okay, that they are out of pain. If they struggle with any mental health, if they took their lives, they explain everything that happened to them around that time. And it was more like a very, very low feeling. They were just going through the motions. They really want their families to hold on to them in their happiest times because they are happy in heaven. And the afterlife is just full of, it's full of love, but they also get to fulfill their dreams in the afterlife. It's a constant progression. So anything they wanted to do here on earth, they get to do in the afterlife. And when they connect, they bring it through. And it's just so beautiful for the parents to receive this validation that their kids are growing and learning and progressing and they're fulfilling their dreams in the afterlife. It's just a progression. Yeah.
That's a really important point. I want to go into that a little bit deeper because a lot of times people will feel like, well, my child's life was cut short. They only got to live to 4 or 5 or 15 or whatever. They never got to experience all the great things that Earth has to offer. So just go a little bit more about what is it like for our children that cross over before they even got to grow up?
Well, they grow up in heaven. So they do grow up in heaven and it keeps going. So what's coming to me right now is that this girl that came through on Helping Parents Heal recently, a ballerina, and she came through and she was dancing and she said she was a ballerina. She told her mother that she was in Juilliard in the afterlife and dancing as a professional ballerina. And her mother said that was my dream for her. Her grandmother was in Juilliard. But she's giving me chills now, head to toe. So she came through and she nailed that. And she said, I'm dancing. I'm not only in the Juilliard School in heaven, I'm dancing in the Juilliard School in New York. So in their spirit. So they get to completely fulfill all of their dreams. It all progresses into the afterlife. There's no ending.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You talked about, meditation. You talked about dropping from our head into our heart. And for some of us, that's a struggle. It's like, how do I do that? Because people will say to me all the time, Brian, I don't know how to meditate. I can't stop my thoughts. What do I do? So what's your advice for people to try to figure out how do I start to make this connection?
So I teach it in a way that's very simple. You're first going to focus on feeling your breath. You cannot be thinking thoughts scientifically if you're feeling your breath. So start with the deep breaths. In 10, out 10, then in 4, out 4. And then as your breath slows down to a rhythmic breath and there's no thoughts, then you can drop into your heart space and feel love. Invite your loved ones to you. Your loved ones are going to connect on your strongest sense. Most of us, our inner senses, our strongest inner sense is feeling. So clairsentience, so that's our strongest. So they're going to connect on what your strongest inner senses, inner seeing, inner feeling, inner hearing, inner knowing, and just allow them to do the work. You are to be in a place of allowing and letting go. You're not here to try or to do. You're here to get yourself to a relaxed place and centered in your breath and in a state of feeling love or peace. And those high vibrations within you are going to connect with your loved ones. Your loved ones in spirit are going to connect with you because they're in the higher vibrations of love, peace, and joy. So when you can get there spiritually, they can come in. They're going to develop you spiritually as long as you have a centering practice, a meditation practice. They're going to develop you. Everyone who sits in meditation and kind of trains themselves to drop from the mind into the breath, into the heart, you're going to be developing. Spirit is going to be developing you. You're going to be receiving on so many levels, not just spiritually, but there's so many beautiful benefits to meditation. Cognition and processing and no anxiety and less worrying and less reacting. It all helps. But I'll say, what I do know in teaching people that want to connect is that the more that you practice every day and sit in meditation, the more Spirit's going to be with you. And believing and knowing that they can do this amazing work to not only develop, so they have to develop on the other side too. So they will be developing alongside you, especially if they've had a recent, I'll say, passing. The kids blow me away. They're already developed when they get over there. They have no inhibitions. They come so close. They blend so quickly. But I'll say, like, adults more have to learn how to connect spiritually. But the kids have no problems. They have no problems blending and jumping in and hitting the mark every time. So I will say that with the children, you will always have a bond with your child. That is that love. They will always be with you. And I know some parents who are mediums now, who have developed to the point they talk to their children all day long. They receive from their children on many levels every day, but it's a continual communication that's going on. And of course, you need to learn how to ground too. When you're in that place of awakening and spiritually receiving and communicating, there needs to be a balance of both. However, I will say the kids, I call them the super kids, they are just incredible, and they will help develop you. It's just a matter of being in that place of practicing to drop into your spirit, because then once you're in your spirit, you have the spirit to spirit connection. It's happening. You're in the oneness, and they will be connecting with you, and you'll be feeling their love. They want to feel your love too. It's both. They want to feel your love. You want to feel their love.
I like what you said about them developing us, because I think a lot of us feel like, okay, I need to go in this meditation. I need to do something. I need to really try and really strive. And I hear what you're saying is, they're there to help us, right? They're there to help pull us along.
Yes, they're always there. They're just waiting for us. So they're waiting for us to get to that place. A lot of people experience their children in spirit in heaven and their loved ones on vacation because they're in a place of relaxation. They're letting go. They don't have any distractions, and they're experiencing them through signs and synchronicities and all the combination of that I call the spiritual vortex, which can bring so much healing. Our loved ones in spirit can bring us healing energy, and they can just lift us up in such an amazing way through their connection.
Mhm.
And I just had this happen yesterday with a set of parents. Their son connected with me through a song that was played with his name in it. At the same time, I said it to his mom and dad. The son connected with him at the same time with the license plate. So that's the spiritual vortex, where it's like a few things happening at one time, and you're experiencing them and their presence and their essence and their love. And then they bring you up. They bring you up to this healing place that is like, whoa. So they bring you up to their level. I'm just going to say that this is what I'm feeling right now. They bring you up to their level of how they feel in the afterlife. And it's like an uplifting, healing energy that you receive. So no doubting, there's no doing or trying. It's just practicing, staying out of the mind, into the breath, into the heart, and just receiving. You're on the receiving end of spirit, and spirit can do amazing things. And I say, I mean, I was brought up Christian and I became Catholic, and I have a very strong faith. And what I will say is, this is biblical. It's through the Gospel of John. We are light first and foremost. We are spirit first and foremost. So we have this divine connection. We have this. This is our birthright. And so this is something too, a message too, that I want to bring. Just that, I mean, God can do amazing things. God raises the veil. And I had asked God many times in my life for help, even in my childhood. I mean, I had a very chaotic childhood growing up. Even though I went to private Christian schools, I had a chaotic childhood. So my dad was a con man. My father was wanted by the FBI. There's all these things happening in my life in my teens. And one night when I felt like a lot of uncertainty with my father, like a departure from him that night in our home, I asked God for help. And I kind of made a promise, and I just realized this in the last week. I reached out to God and I said, please give me protection. I need protection right now. Am I going to be okay? And all of a sudden, this blanket of peace and warmth just came over me at 16 years old. And I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And so this is when I was 16. And so shortly after that, my father fled the country, and he wasn't in my life anymore for like 26 years until I forgave him before he died. But what I'll say about that is, even in forgiveness, I gave my father big forgiveness before he died. And even when that happened, I feel like spiritually, when I let go of that, because forgiveness is not condoning the behavior, but it's letting go of the pain. It wasn't yours in the first place. It's just letting go of that. And when I gave that to my dad and I released that from myself, I really opened up even more spiritually. And that also happened for me. I really feel like that was a spiritual awakening as well. How my dad was brought back into my life after 26 years, and he had cancer, and I allowed him back in my life. And that was a whole spiritual experience too that happened. That was just very, very, very timely, full of signs that kind of led me on that path. But I had a very strong faith growing up because I did go to private Christian schools. And I mean, I met Billy Graham and I had to recite Bible verses all the time. So I was very aware of the spiritual gifts. And then after I had my awakening, I went to my priest and I said, this is happening. I see spirit. I'm giving readings. I mean, what is going on? And he said, we had been at the church for a long time, probably 10 years, and he said, you're having holy experiences. You're experiencing spiritual gifts. I want you to go see a spiritual director. And so I went under spiritual direction for a year. But my first appointment with the spiritual director here in Chicago, they were having a book sale. And I walked the book sale, and there in front of me was a book that said We Are Their Heaven by Nicole Dubois. And it said, she's a medium. And this is in the book sale of San Franciscan Ministries, where I'm under spiritual direction, Catholic Ministries. And they have this book, We Are Their Heaven. Of course, I bought it on the spot. And so it was validation for me that I was to walk this path, you know, as a Christian, as a Catholic, as someone who has been given these spiritual gifts. And this is how I understood it. It's the gift of healing. This is what this is. And that I'm a medium. And there's nothing wrong with that label, even though I shied away from it for a couple of years. I mean, I stayed in the closet for about 3 years until I was pushed out.
Yeah.
So, but I will say that it was all orchestrated for me. And I really feel everyone's spiritual development is very orchestrated, because what you're seeking is seeking you too. So it's divinely planned for your healing, and it's divinely planned for you to connect with your loved ones in spirit, to receive their love and to feel them again. It's very much, I'll say, divinely planned. And as long as you believe that it's possible.
Yeah. I'm really glad you brought that up, Stacey, because for some of us, we've been taught that our faith should hold us back, should keep us in fear. And so we hear about mediumship and open ourselves up to spirit, and all we can think about is the negative things that could happen. But you mentioned the gift of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen how mediumship can heal people. So can you give maybe some examples of how you've seen your spiritual gifts healing people?
Yeah, so spirit connecting is healing. Their loving energy coming through is coming through me as a vessel to the person that's receiving. It's healing energy from them that's coming through. Their spirit is healing. And when I started to look at the spiritual gifts and the gifts of the Holy Spirit, I mean, the gift of the discernment of spirits. I mean, that's what this is too. And it's the gift of healing. It's the gift of miracles. I mean, spirit, connecting and coming through, that's a miracle in itself right there. And it's to let us know that we don't die. We just transcend into our spirit, into the next world, into the spirit world. And the spirit world is in Colossians, in the Bible. It's there. And the spiritual gifts, are in Corinthians. It's all there. It's all there. And so after spiritual direction, I was asked by my priest in a mass, if anyone has spiritual gifts, we want to meet with you in the narthex because we want to invite you to be a minister. So I got chills in that mass. This is 10 years ago. And I trained as a griefer, as a grief minister in the spiritual gifts. And I've been ministering to the grieving for 10 years locally here in the Chicago area. And so it is all, there's only that one little verse in Deuteronomy about gypsies and mediums that don't follow God. That's it. That's the label. And so, but that's not the case. These are beautiful spiritual gifts that we all can tap into and tune into, because we are all a child of God, and we all have this within us, within our spirit. Our spirit is infinite, and our spirit is light, and we are connected to light. We're connected to spirit. when we can connect to our own spirit within, which is love and which is peace, and which is healed.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully said. You know, the
And that's
Bible even
something that
talks.
I'm really here to think. I really feel that the more that we can go within and connect within ourselves, the more we're going to find, I feel, our path forward. We can be given a purpose. I mean, I also teach online the gift of spirit mentoring, and I have a couple levels. And one of my members, who's in like the 3rd level now, her daughter came through and she was able to kind of channel what her daughter was giving her. And she published 3 children's books. Her daughter in spirit connecting. So this is what is possible. I mean, the children I know want to put their parents on a mission. I do know this. I do know that they want to be purposeful with them and they want to co-create with them here on earth. And they can bring so much for this. And I've seen it happen over and over again, especially with writing books, but also with non-for-profits, all sorts of things. Some push their parents into the music industry with the rap sheets and songs that they left behind. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, that's. I think a lot of us can relate to that. You know, our kids. It seems like they're like pushing us to be on a mission. So, what are your thoughts about that? Was this planned for our children to go first and to leave us with this mission, or how do you feel about
Yes,
that?
I do feel everything is on our timeline divinely. I do feel that everything is orchestrated and planned. Just from my own experience and the work that I do see it time and time again that it's all designed. And what's so interesting about it is that I do feel it's designed to wake us up more to this higher place of connection in spirit, because connecting with spirit and having the spiritual connection can bring so much healing and so much love to you daily. And to live in this place of, wholeness, oneness, and connection is to live in the place of being healed. Because it's know that with us, they're all around us, they're everywhere. And it's just us, tuning in to receive from them and to acknowledge. They love the validation. They absolutely love it. So when you validate that, oh, you just played that song for me. Oh, I know it was you. What are you up to? It's just when you can communicate at this level with them in such this place, you're gonna feel, I burst out laughing in my car a lot because spirit connects with me when I'm driving because I'm in like a rhythmic place, and they can connect with me through signs and songs and all sorts of things. And so I always have spiritual connections when I'm driving. Thankfully, I'm protected in my car as I'm driving. But I will say that spirit finds ways to connect with you when you're not in a heady place. So when you're doing something like rhythmically, like exercising, or when you are driving, or when you're gardening or something, they're going to find that place and they're going to connect with you, and you're going to feel them, and they will want acknowledgement from you. Because I've heard them say, I've worked hard to do this. I got a team with me right now. So they're always working with people to help them to connect and come through. So there's more energy there as well.
And I realize as I've talked to people like you, and I see the joy and the curiosity in your life, how you stay open to, like, I'm just out and about and I'm looking for how spirit's connecting to me, that it makes the world just seem, different. And we can have a curiosity and be open to, like, what's going to happen today? What are they going to teach me today? What are they going to send to me today? And I love the way that you spread that to other people.
Yes, being in wonder every day. Wonder is it. Wonder and curiosity. If you can just be in wonder as to, oh, I wonder who's going to connect today, and I wonder what they're going to bring me. They're going to connect on that vibration, and especially the wonder, it's a high vibration. When I opened up spiritually, I received my first message from Spirit was, it is in the wonder that the miraculous happens. That was my first, I'll say, divine message that I received. And so being in wonder daily, it's going to happen for you. I promise you that. Because being in that vibration, Spirit's going to work with that energy. And everything is energy. So think about your own energy. What are you feeling during the day? Like if you're in a place of feeling low or feeling this or that, go outside, move, start walking, get in the car, go for a drive, shift that energy, call a friend, shift that energy into a higher place. And that's really going to help your connection too. Because we can all feel the ebb and flow here on Earth with the physical energy everywhere. So we can all feel that. So when you find that you're feeling kind of tired or just, getting in the dense energy of the to-dos of life or what's going on in the world, you want to shift that and you want to get to a lighter place. And that's where that spiritual connection is really going to start happening for you too. Although I will say, I have seen Spirit do things when people are in the most need. When I do live events with audiences, there's always someone in the audience who has a very high need in that audience. They always receive a spiritual reading. So Spirit knows. I mean, your loved ones know when you need a pick-me-up, when you need that sign, when you need that feeling of them, and ask for it. Ask for it. I had a mother connect with me earlier today, and as I mentioned, the sign came in from her son to me on the song, and then to the dad on the license plate, and she said, I told him I needed a pick-me-up. I asked him to bring signs to help me, and it happened. So just knowing they hear you, no matter what state you're in, they hear you and they know what you need too. So it's the communication. I really feel it's like the daily communication. I mean, I'm always communicating with Spirit. Sometimes my mouth will move instead of like just kind of communicating from my heart space, or I'll be saying something. My husband will be like, who are you talking to? It's like, oh, I thought I was talking in my spirit. I was talking to my gram. So it's just kind of funny sometimes because sometimes I get caught, but it's just amazing how if you keep that flow going, it's really flow, just keeping that going, you're going to be experiencing more and more. It's when we stop and we say, this isn't working, or I just can't do this. And so that's when we're kind of blocking that connection. So it's inner work, inner self-care, like loving yourself, taking care of yourself every day, giving to yourself. It's all of that too.
So yeah, so what I hear you saying is keeping that high vibration is great. We want to try to do that. But even if we can't, as long as we're communicating, as long as we're keeping ourselves open to that Spirit, our loved ones can work with that. Because I hear sometimes people say, well, if you have a high vibration, they can reach you, but if you don't, then they can't reach you. And that's really hard for some of us parents, especially in early grief. We're like, it's really hard for me to get my vibration high. But if I can just remain open to that and say, help me, reach out and just make that effort, it sounds like that goes a long way as well.
Yes, just the constant communication, I would say, is so helpful. Also, writing and journaling to them, they see everything. So if if you are, I mean, writing letters to them and journaling to them, they're going to respond to that as well. So just keeping that communication going, whether you're writing or whether you're speaking from your heart, speaking to them mindfully or telepathically, just keeping that going daily is important for your spiritual development, because you don't want to give up. They don't want you to give up. They want you to know that they're with you, and they want you to join them in a way, in this communication, in this belief, in this knowing that they can help you and they can continue to love and guide you. I think that's what's the most important thing, and to know that they are with you every place you are, everywhere you go. They're just that like loving connection away. And so if you start believing that, oh, if I just like think of them for a moment and I just say, I miss you, how are you, I'd love a sign from you, just give me something, I'd love to hear from you, I'm thinking about you today. That's it. And then let them do the work, because they can do it and they can bring it, as we know, Brian, right?
Yeah, we definitely know. Yeah, we definitely know. As I mentioned in the introductions, Stacey did a reading for me. It's been 3 or 4 years ago now, and you told me some incredible things that reading, but you also told me some things that weren't going to happen for another year and a half.
She told me. She told me.
Yeah, Shayna told you, and you told me. So yeah, it was amazing that it's too long to go into right now, but yeah, I ended up re-listening to the reading over again as I was flying back from the Helping Parents Heal conference in Arizona last year. So I know 100% that what Stacey does is real, and that our children are connecting with us, and that everything you're saying is true. We're down to about 10-12 minutes left. I want to give people a chance to ask questions. So if anyone has a question, are they going to raise hands, Elizabeth, or put it in the chat? It's up to you.
I think it would be great if they could just put it into the chat, but I would really, really like to hear in a nutshell a little bit about. I mean, I know that you went to school with Billy Graham. I mean, I think it's so interesting that
I
you
met Billy Graham. Yes.
just to give us a little bit of background, to explain that this happens to everyone, no matter what we believe. When these signs that you were getting that were just so incredibly important, um, you were able to accept that this was coming from our loved ones in spirit, and you've become such a huge advocate for all of our kids on the other side. I also just wanted to quickly say, I put in the chat box, you were talking about how our kids develop on the other side and that they learn all this stuff, they become prima ballerinas and all these different things, but when we see them, when we get over there, it's going to be as though not 1 second has passed. Is that correct? I mean, I know these
right.
are
So they can provide. So what I do know is that, I mean, spirit can show up for you in any way that they want to. So they can come through. So they can connect with you when you're on the other side, from the age that they were, right? And so it's amazing. It's hard to wrap our head around it, really, but it's just like I read something recently where like couples who transition like in their older age, they actually meet on the other side when they first met, the age of when they first met, and they're in their youth and they're just in this happiest place of when they first met. And here they, I mean, were in their 80s or 90s when they passed, right? So spiritually, they can show up, like when Heather comes to me, my best friend that was killed in a car accident, I see her at the age she was when she transitioned. That's how she connects with me, and she's been over there since 1995. So yeah, it's whatever they want to connect with you the most, what they want to portray, and it can it can change. Yes.
If anybody remembers the movie What Dreams May Come, I think they did a really good job in that movie of portraying that. Because when Robin Williams sees his daughter,
All right.
at one point she appears to be like a young woman, and then she goes back, she appears the way he saw her when she was a little girl, when she transitioned. So our appearances aren't fixed when we're on the other side, and we can appear in what's most appealing and most comforting. Because I know sometimes when parents hear my child's going to grow up in heaven, it's like, well, then I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss them. They were 5 when they passed. I want to see them as a 5-year-old. And when I see my daughter in my dreams, usually she's about that age. She's the age that she was when I remember her, when she was like 4 or 5. That's my favorite age.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. And just a quick aside here, we're going to have Stephen Simon coming to speak to us. He was the producer of What Dreams May Come, but also a lot of other things like with Christopher Reeves and Jane Seymour, the movie that he also.
Oh
Anyway,
my goodness, that is my favorite movie.
It's
wife
awesome.
passed.
Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. What is the name? That was my
But
favorite.
he wrote a book with his wife called What Dreams Have Come, because his wife passed, and they actually he automatic wrote this book that was written with her, and it's kind of fascinating because people from Hollywood are not usually very open to this kind of thing. But anyway,
Yeah. It's
we-
Somewhere in Time, Stacey, is
Somewhere
the
in
name of the
Time.
movie.
Yes, it's my
Yes.
favorite movie.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so anyway, but maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about how you were able to accept all of this and realize that it's okay, in spite of the fact that you were growing up in an atmosphere probably that didn't necessarily accept the fact that you were a medium. Could you tell just a little bit about that?
Yes, it was my loved ones in spirit. So it was my grandmother and my grandfather and my uncle and Heather. I mean, it was all of them. And things accelerated pretty quickly for me. Like my spiritual guides started showing up. I mean, Jesus showed up right away when I was at Omega, and I was in training, and he said, "Be in thy gifts I give you." I saw him in a sanctuary when I was meditating. Everyone was told, go up in the sanctuary at Omega Institute and meditate and see what happens. And I went up there meditating, and Jesus appeared to me. And so I kept receiving, be in thy gifts I give you, over and over again. And I kept fighting it. I mean, I cry every time, but I mean, I would say to myself, what are people going to think of me? I'm in corporate America. I have my own company. I'm an executive recruiter. I'm an executive coach. I mean, I went through that for a couple of years, but when I started reading for the children, that all changed my life. It just changed. I just knew that I was meant to help and heal in these gifts, especially families. And that's where it all started for me, when I really started saying yes to this path. And I'll say that my loved ones in spirit, them coming through to me and being with me and giving me that love that I've missed so much, that was it for me. And I just felt, this is my divine purpose, and I'm here to help people awaken. And that's really, I mean, mediumship is amazing, but I do feel that I'm really here to be sort of this pioneer in awakening to spirit. I really want people to awaken just like I did in that auditorium. And so it was to Amazing Grace. So everyone meditate to Amazing Grace. It's on my album too. My niece sings it. She's a singer-songwriter. So I just feel that the more you put yourself there spiritually, the more you're going to experience more and more spiritually. But it's like putting yourself there first. So letting go, being in meditation. Some people can meditate in silence, which is best. Some people can meditate music, that's best. Some people love guided meditations. I say, try them all. see what works for you. For me, it was music alone, not guided voice, that worked for me. And see what works for you. See what's really attuned to you. Some people love to listen to the music that their loved ones listen to. And that's a special place for them to connect with them spiritually. I just say, just be in your spirit and sit and receive in the silence or with the guided meditation or the music, and spirit is going to connect with you. And it's a beautiful journey to understand that we do have this spiritual connection, and we can have it in meditation. We can have it when we're sleeping. There's that meditative state right after deep REM where spirit can connect with you. Invite them to connect with you, and just have this ongoing communication with them. Whether you hear them or not, they hear you, and they can feel you, and they know that you are communicating with them, and they know that you want to receive from them. And back in the time, even in biblical times, how many were open to receive spiritually? So many in those times. And we also have that birthright. So I just invite everyone to be in that place of receiving through meditation, because meditation is a healer. It's a healer for the soul. This I know.
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember also, you think about Jesus, who Christians say that we follow, a lot of people are pushing back against him. Jesus was pulling people out of the traditions of men, and people that were following him were considered to be heretics. So, but
Right.
Jesus said, listen to me, follow your spirit, follow your heart.
Right.
So what you did was say, I'm going to put aside what men are telling me. I'm going to put aside what the church is telling me. I'm going to follow my spirit. I'm going to follow my heart. And I think that's a really important lesson. So if we really follow Jesus, Jesus frees us. He doesn't bind us in all those things.
Yes, and there's such a place of freedom in meditation. It's so peaceful. And I feel you're going deep within your spirit, and all your loved ones can meet you there. When you're there within your spirit, your loved ones can meet you there and connect with you. And it's a beautiful place of spiritual communion. But I will say too that, the kids in Jesus really pushed me. So it wasn't like I had people around me saying, oh, you can't do that. How can you be a Christian and be a medium? I heard all of it. And it wasn't until I read the Gospels that I felt so confident. I was just like, oh, have you read the Gospel of John? So really, I feel that we are all spirit, and we're all connected to spirit on so many levels. And it's unique to all of us. Like for me, the loved ones that can connect so strong with me are the children, and also the music entertainers. My father was an entertainer. He was an Elvis impersonator singer. I grew up with this in my house every week. So every spiritual medium, I think, has very strong connections, because like attracts like. For me, I helped raise my cousins when they were babies. I've been around children my entire life. I'm very connected to children, as well as music. I played the guitar growing up, and I had my father was a singer. So I have a lot of different connections spiritually in spirit that are very, very strong, including, a lot of, I'll say, like some of the gurus too, like Ram Dass is very strong with me in meditation. And I took his classes early on in 2011 and 12. I mean, he and Wayne Dyer. And so, I mean, I do connect with him as well. And I mean, Maharishi, the one who brought Transcendental Meditation to America, he also connects with me in spirit as well. So I have a lot of strong connections, and I just feel so those are all meditators and meditative teachers. And so there's also that too. So don't be surprised. You know, we all have a spiritual dream team over there helping us. And don't be surprised, and the angels too, as to who connects with you, with your children, or just like you may have an angel connect with you, or you may have a spiritual guide connect with you. Whatever's meant for you to experience in your meditations is meant for you to experience and develop. So trust. So trust it.
So thank you.
I know you want to.
That was beautiful, and it's time now, and I think that this will be really interesting for people to rewatch as well. So many people are asking how to join spiritual development classes with you. Do you have anything that's coming up?
So we just started in September with the New Awaken course. It's a 6-month course, but we'll open it up again in March. So if you want to join us, like our mailing list, you can go to the website, touching1mhearts.com, and you can, there's a free gift of a heart opening meditation on the website too from the album. So if you want to join that way, you'll get a free download of one of the meditations on the album, and then you'll hear more about it come March. Also, Touching 1 Million Hearts Facebook page too, and then Instagram, they're all there, the social media, if you want to follow there, you'll also learn about it there. So we open it up twice a year, September and March. And there's 3 levels now, which is exciting.
Well, I just want to say that both of you are going to be at our 3rd conference, and I really are thrilled, both you and Brian, and it's just going to be wonderful to have both of you there, as well as everyone else that's going to be speaking. And we usually always ask everyone, maybe Brian, do you want to say a few words? But we're going to have everybody say thank you and good night. But did you want to just wrap
No,
it up?
I just want to say thank you for having me. Stacey, great to see you again. Awesome as always.
Great to see you, Brian.
Yeah. So yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
everybody for being
interviewing
here.
me again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Brian, for doing this. Thank you, Stacey. We love you.
Love you. Love you both, angels.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so if you'd like to
Bye,
unmute
Irene.
and say goodnight.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Stacey.
Brian, night.
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much.
both.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Have a
Good
wonderful
night. Blessings.